touching on a bit about our company background before I actually move on to the Canadian skilled migration program. And after the whole session, we will be actually having a breakout so that we will do a one-to-one and you actually know your eligibility test. And then for those that are online, if you would like to actually schedule an appointment, please actually drop a message to our consultants. We'll be getting in touch with you on Facebook Live and you can actually arrange for an appointment. Yeah. So about our company, we actually started in 2006. All right. It was just 2 people, my boss and my lady boss. And right now, I would say that we are currently having a total of 14 years of work experience. So like most companies, we have our own vision and mission. So when our boss actually started the business, their vision was actually to have our immigration company to be the largest and the most professional one in Southeast Asia. And our mission ultimately is to actually give you the end goal, which is actually to get you the PR status of your country's choice. So we also have our core values. Each letter has its own significant meaning, and we always say pushed. But the thing is, when it comes to push, we all also know that even myself, I don't want to go into like a shopping center and someone keeps nagging at me to make a decision on the spot, correct? And we do understand, but the thing is when we put this push as our core values, the reason is because when it comes to immigration, right, there are some factors that we have no control of. Things like your age, things like, for example, your health, and things like current immigration rules. These are things that, for example, if you don't make a decision based on the current rules, and when you make a decision maybe a few months later or a few years later, you may actually fall out of eligibility. So the moment you are eligible, we actually encourage you to actually put in your application. So our company, when we use push, right, is actually, the key thing is we want to actually give you the confidence, to give you the assurity that if today you actually start your application with us, it's actually going to be a good choice. All right? So we are located in 10 over countries, and these are all our offices in Southeast Asia. So as I mentioned, initially we started off as 2 people. Right now we have 300 immigration professionals. We are actually doing more than 20 over countries. We used to be only doing 1, now we're doing more than 20. We have already have 14 offices over 10 countries, and we have already helped more than 18,000 families. So these are actually all the countries that we are able to do at this moment. If you actually spot any other country out of Canada, for example, you want to explore another country, which is actually your top priority, feel free to actually let us know, and we can actually help you and move on from there. So today we'll be touching on Canada. In terms of our services, we do not only skilled migration. We have entrepreneur, we have investor, we are able to help you with study visas, we can even do relocation. So we are really trying to become one of the leading business solution provider to help you get the status of your choice. So if today you are looking at getting a PR, then we will be actually assessing you based on your skilled profession and whether or not you are eligible to apply for the Canadian skilled PR. However, if today in the event where, for example, you feel that like, oh, I'm actually running a business, and I would say that if you go into business and investment route, the probability of getting to secure your PR status is actually much higher. So of course, every route has its own criteria and requirements that you actually need to fulfill. So why choose AIMS? So why choose? Why is it something that I could actually do it on my own? Is it something that in comparison to other agencies? So let me just highlight a few things about our company. So firstly, we have already 14 years of experience. So that will become our profession. Basically, we will be sharing with you all the live cases, and we've handled so many clients. So we will be very confident in providing you the correct information. Next thing, we have a dedicated consultant. Like myself, not only myself will be handling your case if you choose to actually come on board with us. We also have a documentation specialist. So what they do is that they are focused at handling all your documents, and they will be the one that will be attached to you. So for a single country like Canada, we easily have 5 people that are actually watching over Canada. Correct. So in terms of dedicated consultant, all the documents will be kept confidential between me, myself, and myself, yourself, and one of the documentation specialists. Lastly, thirdly, we have offices around Asia. Right now, due to COVID, we have already learned how to do everything seamlessly online. However, in the event, for example, you feel that you want to drop off your documents over at our offices, for example, in Canada, so you can actually go to our office and drop it off instead of doing it online. Or maybe you're not very sure what kind of documents you need to actually file to us. So you can always come by to our offices. So that actually will help our clients these days. This one is the one that I really want to focus, full spectrum of service. So again, I mentioned we are a start to end service, meaning to say right today, if we are privileged to work with you, and then start your application right from the start all the way to your PR. Even after you get your PR status, if you need help to actually shift your furniture or like migration, you're moving your entire house. If you need help in any kind of services, we do have a relocation team that will be able to assist you. So in terms of, I always like to quote this story where we actually have a client that wanted to ship a goldfish from America to Asia, a goldfish. So, in all honesty, that wasn't a very cheap goldfish because we have to actually make sure water temperature and everything so the goldfish don't die. Correct. So we even provide such precise and customized accordingly to what you actually want. Correct. All right. We are definitely fully licensed. So this is actually an immigration lawyer that I'm working with. Every single application that we go through will go through the immigration lawyer. The reason why we have the immigration lawyer in place is because in the event that a negative result comes back, and sometimes when they give you the reason for the negative result, it can be the most absurd reason, something that we feel that it is not something justifiable. But the thing is, if the government rejects, they reject. So our immigration lawyer, before we even put in the application, we will make sure that it is actually a very solid case before we even submit. The reason being is because if the negative result come back, we wouldn't want it to go to you. We will make sure we handle it first, and we will try to turn it around. And we have handled many cases like this before. Okay, so fortunately today we'll be touching on Canada. It's actually listed as the one of the three most livable cities, and this is not done by us, it's actually done by Bloomberg. So now we'll be touching on about Canada. So why Canada? Or should I choose other? What are the considerations for moving towards Canada? So firstly, of course, is the scenery. In Singapore, you mostly see urban. If you want to actually have a relaxing evening or weekend, it's usually the city areas. But in Canada, you can enjoy the scenic view. This one to me is one of the more important ones, which is free education. So higher education, free education up to secondary school. When you go to university, it's definitely you're going to be paying 1/4 of what an international student will be paying. So for example, if today I am like I am a graduate of NTU, Nanyang. And the thing is, in the Singapore system, it's so competitive. Meaning to say, if my kids will, in future, will want to go into local university, the competition is very high. And just to share with you, the reason why I worked very hard to actually go into uni was because both my eldest brother went into uni. It wasn't something that my mom told me that I have to study hard and go to uni. It was a self-social pressure, correct? But in the event, for example, my friends that are not so fortunate that is able to enter a local uni, they'll be entering international unis and they'll be paying the fees as per, international. If they were to go overseas, that is going to cost them a fortune. So if you actually get a PR in Canada, you will be paying at a very low rate. Thirdly, this is the free world-class medical. So 100% free coverage, so you don't need to worry. Cost of living in Canada is definitely much cheaper. So if you are paying 300,000 in Singapore, you have a rough gauge of what you'll be getting. So in there, you're actually living in what I would say is called a bungalow in Singapore. And then of course, for cars, it's definitely much cheaper as well. So this is an important consideration. Jobs in Canada. Right now, they're actually welcoming a lot of immigrants to actually go over to Canada because they actually want to actually grow their economy. So they are actually indicating that they desperately are looking to actually fill up to 430,000 in terms of their jobs. And to me, that is actually an indication of a good opportunity for you to start and make a step forward and put your feet into the country. So now we'll be diving down onto the eligibility test. Again, after this session, we'll be doing a breakout so that we'll be doing an individual based on your profile. So right now, it's just going to be a rough overview. So in terms of eligibility test, things that you need to consider is the age. Second thing that will be consideration is your education. So in terms of education, it really depends on where you actually graduated from. and from where you graduate from, it has to be accessed to my based on Canada, the WES, World Education Services, correct? So from there, then they will actually decide whether or not are you actually is your standard, is it the same standard as Canada before you actually can claim your points. The third thing will be the English exam. So to me, the English exam, the IELTS, is actually something that's controllable, something that you can work hard and study hard to achieve the recommended score. So we are actually partnering a school, and we will be providing you master classes, mock exams and materials. Do take your time to study, to try to get the optimum result. Because if you rush it and you don't get the optimum result, then there will be times that we'll be recommending you to take it again, correct? Of course, fourth will be the work experience. Arranged employment is a plus point. Again, when we come to skilled migration, what we are looking at is that you are trying to get a status in Canada before you are able to find a job. But if you are fortunate enough to land a job first before you actually get the PR, then to me I will congratulate you because your chances will be higher. However, most employers will only hire you if you have a status. That will be the first question. Do you have a status to work in the country? Because for them to actually give you a work permit, they actually have to go through a very tedious process, and most of the employers will not want to do so. And then, of course, the last one will be adaptability. So for this eligibility test, the only requirement is for you to fulfill 67 points before you actually can put in your application. However, when you put in your application, it's calculated in a different points test, which is actually what we call the CRS score, which is over 1,200 points. And out of these 1,200, what I'll be showing you is the maximum points that is achievable in each category. So for example, your age, the maximum points. Let's look at the married couple column. So you can see at your age, it will be about 100 points maximum. So the maximum points for married couple will be 29. Correct. So as you are dropping every single year, you are actually losing 5 points. And then for level of education, the highest PhD will be at 140 points. The official proficiency maximum is 150 points, and Canadian work experience is 70 points. So all of these, again, I will not go into too much of it because later on when we do a breakout, you have a better understanding, and if you have more questions about the points or how to score higher, you'll be able to give you a better estimate. Correct. So just now earlier I mentioned about the IELTS. What is the recommended score? So the recommended score is actually listening 8, reading, speaking, writing, speaking 7. Correct. That is actually the recommended score. The reason being is because when we are doing these 2 or more post-secondary credentials, this adaptability, it will give you 50 points. So if you are unable to achieve this recommended score, you will not be achieving 50 points. You'll be actually getting 25 points. Likewise, for the 3 or more years work experience, if you don't achieve the recommended score, you'll be getting 25 points instead of 50 points. So this is why this is always what we recommend. Again, do your best, study for it, and try to achieve the positive result. All right. Of course, if you have this over here, for example, if you have brother or sister staying in, do let us know. Staying in Canada, do let us know. If you are able to speak French, or if you have any kind of work experience or study experience, any connections to Canada, other than friends. If you tell me you have friends in Canada, to us that is actually not substantial ties enough. Unless it's really, really childhood friend, 15, 20 years, and you are able to prove it. By proving it, then I would say that we have something to work with. However, most of the time it's a bit tough to prove these close ties with friends, right? So we always prefer it to have, like, you have cousins, relatives, for example. The reason is because when it comes to provision nomination is over here, 600 points. It really depends on your ties, correct? So there are areas, for example, like maybe Saskatchewan, and places like maybe Manitoba. If you have ties there, your chances are much higher. So let me just explain what is this provincial nomination. So in Canada there's so many provinces, correct? And we always hear provincial nomination. The truth is that most provinces, they require you to actually first secure you a job before you can even apply. And every province has their own requirements. It is not go into the website, click everything, and then submit. Because the thing is, if you click everything and if you really do get selected, end of the day, if you don't fulfill the requirements, your whole case file is actually going back to zero already, because it is not accurate. So that's why before we even launch every single application, we want to make sure that you're eligible. If not, we will not launch it. So there are areas, for example, like Alberta, everybody wants to go to British Columbia. It's a bit tougher. Like British Columbia is very tough because it is a must to actually have a job experience there. You need to be working there before you can actually put it in. So there are other areas that you're exploring. The next popular one will be Ontario, Toronto. So that one there's a different requirement, and then of course Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nova Scotia. The remaining states usually is a job that is required. So these rules do change, and the good thing is that at AIMS we do have a team in Canada. And whenever they are releasing this provincial nomination, it is not a fixed timing. So every province have their own, like, they maybe in every year they do it a few times. So you need to actually catch it, correct? So our team in Canada, and this is our main core of business. So every day we are looking out for it. The reason is because we want to make sure that every single client of us, if they have the opportunity to put in the provincial nomination, we definitely put it, because that will actually increase our chances. The moment you get selected through the provincial nomination, it is an immediate 600 points, which is more or less guaranteed that you're getting a status, correct? All right, so this is the entire process flow. So today what we'll be doing is actually doing a consultation, and then we'll be able to actually assess you. If you choose to be, put in your application with us today, how the process will work is that we will actually first do the education assessment. So that's where we'll be looking at your highest education. You actually need to actually have your transcripts sent over to Canada to get it assessed. And then, of course, we'll be applying for the express entry. The first two steps are the easiest. It is the easiest to put in your express entry and to lodge X number of points. However, if your points do not meet certain benchmark, for example, now the benchmark is at least one of its highest, 470 plus. Basically, your application will be just floating in the system, and it can float as long as it's there. Because the thing is, if you are around 430, 440, how will we be trying to help you is through the provincial nomination to get selected. Correct. All right. So this is where the PMP comes in, and the moment you get selected, you reach the ITA. The ITA is the invitation to apply. Basically, they will actually invite you to go to Canada. You just need to do police clearance, medical clearance. Once everything is cleared and filed accordingly, everything will be gathered and filed at the ITA again. And then the approval will take easily a few more months, easily 8 months, correct? And then, of course, when you get the visa, you will actually need to do a first landing in Canada, and then you'll be granted the PR status. So after that, right, when actually you get the invitation and everything, you can start to plan. The PR is actually for 5 years. So one of the common questions that people get worried is, I need to secure a job first before I make a move, right? That's what everybody thinks, and it's true. And the thing is, the Canadian PR is for 5 years. It means that you have easily 2 years to look for a job. So a lot of people always have this indication that, like, I don't want to put my application in first because I want to apply for a job, I want to secure you a job. But it is it's a chicken and egg thing. I don't know whether you understand this theory. Right. So it means that employer will not hire you if you have a status. However, you are telling me that you want to secure a job before you apply. So that's what I meant by that. That is always a common confusion. As I said, if you are fortunate enough and if you apply, I actually congratulate you, because it's not an easy thing that the employer will actually hire you. So that's why the moment you are eligible, we will say try to put in your application. Because even if you get hired there, we will still help you to actually get the PR at the end of the day. Because if you are hired there, you are not hired as a PR, you are hired as a work permit. So it's only advantageous to put in your application in early, because no one will know what will happen. And if things work out for you, you will get selected. Yeah, but if you choose to wait, it only means that whatever thing that happened on the spot, alright, you are not actually in the game. You're just watching at the outside. Meaning to say, if today the points drop to its ever lowest 413 points, and if so happen your points were actually a bit higher, you actually did have a chance, but you choose to wait and see. Now 47 plus, I don't want to consider. Let me just wait and see whether things get better. So that's usually the case that we see. And to me, really, if it works out for you, then we really want to congratulate you. All right. So this is how the confirmation of permanent residency looks like. And of course, the trend is that Canada is one of the most powerful passports. So you do have an option to actually convert to become a citizen of Canada. And then that's the end. So before we actually do the breakout, is there any questions that anybody on the floor that might want to actually ask us so that everybody can listen to it?
Sorry, so you were mentioning something about 470, right? And
Correct.
you said until the attaching some approval is given, it will be floating in the system. So what exactly is this 470 number?
470 is the CRS score, meaning to say when we do the calculation of this CRS score, right, all of you will have an estimate. Okay, so 470 is currently a very high benchmark score, and to me, it is visual to everybody. Everybody can see it.
So is that something that we can do to secure the 470 minimum?
No, your points are calculated based on your current profile. So it really depends on a lot of things. For example, if you have studied in Canada before, and if you have worked in Canada before, then I'll be very confident that your total score will be much higher. However, sadly but true, if you are actually applying offshore, usually our points, it can still be achievable. So that's where the breakout session, we can do a proper assessment for you.
So suppose it doesn't reach 470 and it's much lower. So is that something that we can do to bring it to the minimum?
Correct. So that one we will actually go through with you and recommend. Like I said, what our company will do for our clients is that we will actually go for the provisional nomination, the PNP, that will more or less secure your PR status. Correct. All right. Anything else? Okay, Ken. Thank you so much. So for those on Facebook Live and Instagram Live, so you do drop us a message if you actually would like to come down to our office to make an appointment for the assessment. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
No problem.